Okay, so in the past we have had a hayseed mixed for us at a grain elevator. We're doing all of our own mixing because getting anything this year is really hard to do, and we're no longer using that grain elevator for our services. So here I have got Devour orchard grass, and this is bull forage tall fescue. Oh, I can show you what they look like also. That's the bull forage. Just kind of all looks like grass seed. Here is what we had to purchase for alfalfa, and then our own vernal alfalfa that we had also. This is the Cisco. It says 328 brand. And this is the Kootenai Timothy. So a lot of horse customers want the Timothy in it. Never ever plant straight one type of grass. Now somewhere in his mix he's got his white and his red clover also. But about the planting a grass mix, if you only planted Timothy and you got a drought, your grass isn't going to grow. If you plant just grass with no clover and no alfalfa, then you've got to figure out something else to do for weed control. So the clover helps suppress any other weed. So then you're doing companion planting, just like in the olden days with gardens. If you've never looked it up, learn about the three sisters. People would plant different things together to help them grow, to help pull from the soil nutrients that it needed, to use the nutrients that another plant wasn't using, and to help suppress weeds. So in our situation, we're feeding cattle. We will always be feeding cattle, so we're planting based on our needs and our climate and our different soils. So you could see when we were plowing and disking, when we were cultivating and cultipacking, the soil can change to several different ranges just in one field based on the highs and lows, where the water flows, and where the hills are. So when we had those terrible droughts, or on a really wet year, if the grass wasn't growing, the alfalfa was able to establish. It has deeper roots, and it was able to pull up that moisture and survive without any rainfall. Now, if I was only growing hay for horses that we had, I'd probably plant differently than what we're planting now. So take what I say as a grain of salt, because it changes from field to field. It changes from plant to plant, from hybrid or variety of seed, as well as changing with what you're feeding, how many cuttings you want to do. A lot of alfalfas are 2 cuttings, some are 3, some are 4. If we ever were able to get a 4th cutting in, it would be just great. And because there has been so much of a hay shortage in our area over the last few years, the best thing that we could find for ourselves to do was to plant this field to hay. So this is adding another 20 acres of hay and a whole lot of work for me. Fortunately, the boys are coming up and we have the stack wagon. We have the kit for the steel building. I think this would be a good year to be watching the steel prices for adding a steel building. We didn't want to do a pole barn building in our situation because we're in Michigan. We get really high winds, we get terrible storms, and we just want to build a building that is going to last our lifetime and last our children's lifetime and not have a situation like what's going on behind me with the long barn. We can't get anything in there other than the manure spreader. It's too low for any of the tractors. And the more I think about cleaning it out and doing the work that I've been doing in it, it might be a really good spot to put a drive-in huge steel building so that we can drive right in, back up to a wall, empty the stack wagon, and drive on out. And then our hay customers could do the same also. Just have a drive-through section for dry storage of hay, big tall overheads, maybe slide outdoors, depending on the situation. Maybe put a couple little calf huts in there off to the side, a little nursery for me. Then I can have more little animals. So he's just about done here. He's got maybe about a half an hour left of sunlight. And he's at the point now that he didn't want to have to refill the entire grain drill. He had that so loaded before that the tires were squatting. The deer and the turkey are out over on the other side of the field. way beyond this hill, right up where he's heading right now. Further up, you can see it goes upwards. That's the sandy hill area that we've been trying to amend. We have been adding so much organic matter from the barn in that area. Spent hay and straw and manure, and it has improved a lot since we moved here. And when we first started working our own land. But the nice thing is that I was telling Trey, it's going to be kind of disappointing for George because unless we buy more farmland in the area, we're not going to have field work to do year after year like we've been doing because of planting this to hay. So hopefully the weather's going to turn bad. There's possible rain forecast tomorrow. Up along that wood edge, the waterway splits it, and it's a Y-shaped waterway, so that's probably close to 15 acres and very hilly. That'll be the next area we move on to after this rainfall passes for the week. In our area, we're usually the last ones to get to planting, the last ones to get to cutting hay. And it's all because of his workload. This year, we're ahead of the game. The load limits went on. The situation's going on in the world. I've had him home to do jobs most days. We're getting welding done. We're getting digging and trenching done. We've been able to go out to the woods and cut firewood. We've been able to do field work. We're being able to work on equipment. Here's another tank that I have to work on. He wants to keep this one for himself for some fuel storage. I've got 2 more tanks down in the low spot to do. And I have no idea how many more my father-in-law might have for me to do. How many might be on loan that are coming in to get painted. They just keep turning up. My project today was a big 3,000 gallon tank. I figured, oh, it doesn't need much on it. I should have that painted by noon before he got home from running some errands. Oh my gosh. It was such a nice tank. I just took more time on wire brushing it and working harder at it. I'm exhausted. It's at the end of my day now. I'm sure he'll be ready to be at the end of his day here real soon. He had just been up to the house to get a couple more buckets of grain seed to finish his planting. He's got a few more passes to go. Fortunately, this is the last long section that he's got. Looks like he'll get it done in another 3 or 4 rows. And then he'll head up into that hilly section. So that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Remember to hit that like and thumbs up button, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye. 60% chance of rain overnight. So the reason for doing the cultipacking again is to have all that seed have ground contact. When the seed comes out of the back of the planter, there's roller wheels that push them down. So like here you can see, here's some oats. They're gonna grow from sitting on top of the soil, but if you see a bright pink spot or white, that's the clover. I don't see any here, but these are gonna wanna grow, they're fine. I'm just kind of pushing them in, going through and checking. This is more of a clay type area, and he's going on an angle. See, like this pink seed, it's just sitting on the top. That's not going to want to grow. So what that cultipacker is doing is going through here, and it's moving some of the topsoil to go on top of these. It doesn't have the energy in it to put down roots and grow up. So it's doing okay. So there's a smaller percentage that isn't going to get covered up because it gets rolled around and, you know, put back up at the surface. But that cultipacking is going to sink that down to help cover it up so that it's going to grow. See there, Bethany? That's the oat seed we cleaned in the clipper. Yep. The pink seeds, that's some clover or alfalfa. I forget which. I think you said it was the clover. Here's some blue. Yeah. That's another seed, okay? So what Daddy's doing is going through with that cultipacker, okay, and it's pushing a little dirt on top of those so that they'll grow. That's just a weed, a stem from a weed that we pulled up when we were disking. Yeah. Well, we did that too. Yeah, we dragged, we dissed. So he's made a lot of progress already. Here he's at not quite the center point of the field, but he's in the front quarter anyways. Yeah, it gets up into this hilly section, he'll be at about half. So when he's kind of on more of an angle from the end of that barn, he'll be half done. So he's making good progress. It goes pretty quick. So our planting is all in and we are ready for the rain to come down here in a little bit. It's going to be a great hay season for us. This is going to be a whole crop of our own hay for the cows, so it is oat hay, and it's going to make us really happy because lots of fiber, lots of energy in there for babies that might be coming this spring. Good job. Bethy's pulling weeds in the field. She's learning all about pulling the weeds for her garden this year, huh?
Yep, I have you.
Okay, we got to step back, Bethany. Dad's coming. So that's it for right now, everybody. I will show you this after it starts to pop up, after a rain and a couple of days of warm weather. Hopefully it'll be a good growing week here for us.